If you follow this exact footprint, you're going to make your first 6 figures next year. Come back and let us know. Number one, you're going to ask yourself, are you supposed to diversify or are you supposed to concentrate? Most of us think we are likely at a level whereby we can diversify. The truth is, the more you concentrate, the better your immediate results. Number two, you're going to ask yourself, what should I currently be focusing on that I'm not focusing on? We all have that answer. Once that becomes clear, make a resolution in the new year to actually focus on that until you see substantive results. And third, you're going to ask yourself, what are you so good at? What is currently working for your business or for you as an individual? Thank you. Once you figure this out, you're going to double down on what's currently working. You're going to try, not perfect it, but you're going to keep iterating it over and over again. You double down on what's already working. Next, it doesn't matter the goal you have. You're going to rewrite your goal into a question. So let's say you intend to make a minimum of $50,000 a month. You're going to rephrase it into a question. How can I make a minimum of $50,000 a month easily and quickly? Not only have you rephrased it to psychologically trick yourself into the possibility of you doing it, but you've already now started giving your subconscious an assignment to go the extra mile and perceive how you can achieve that goal as quickly and as easily as possible. Once you do that, your subconscious mind goes along to clear the path for you. What you're supposed to do next will come naturally to you. But you have to ask that question, and you've got to have the faith that it's already done. Because if you are someone who's in touch with your spirituality, or you understand how quantum physics works, you are abundant as a human being. There's nothing you lack at this moment. All realities, possible realities that could ever exist. The version of you that makes a particular amount of money exists. The version of you that lives wholesome. The version of you that travels any part of the world, the version of you that has everything already exists. How you connect to that version of you, how you bridge that gap, comes down to what the Bible calls faith, what spirituality calls mastery of energy, and what quantum physics called merging with the universal field. Everything around us is always bringing us back to this reality that you are abundant in ways that your mind can't even fathom. You already have that which you want. You just need to match up the frequency of that which you want. So rephrase your goals into questions and give yourself the clauses for achieving those goals as easily and as quickly as possible. Because remember, perception is reality. And if perception is reality, it means how you perceive things become true in your experience. So if you're the kind of person that perceives that life is hard and I have to sweat to earn, I have to work extremely hard to match up a particular goal, then that is what becomes real. If you flow and understand the game of life, which brings me to my next point. This thing is a simulation, guys. You might get to understand it right now. You might get to understand it 20 years from now. It depends with your level of curiosity. But the truth is, eventually you get to understand that the nature of life is like a game. And a game has different players. We have the character of the game who thinks they're running the show, but they're actually being controlled by the player who is playing the game. But even the player thinks they're running the show, but the player is limited by the programmer, because the programmer gets to dictate the level of the show, the level that game is at. So whether we have level 1, level 2, level 3, you want to be the programmer in this game of life. A lot of people are the character, and it means life is moving them left, right, and center. They are on autopilot, and I don't necessarily blame them, because if you understand how our brain works, I try to merge psychology with philosophy. If you understand how our brain works, is our forebrain, which is responsible for awareness, is actually a very new development in our existence. Otherwise, for the longest time, because our ancestors are cavemen, the hindbrain, which is responsible for our physiological movements, whether you move, whether muscle, whether your heartbeat, that is what's coordinated with the middle brain, which is responsible for emotions and all that. right? But you understand that your midbrain is always sending signals to your hindbrain, and those two are always on autopilot. That is why your mind might not be here, but if I think to pick this, I will pick it, despite me being distracted. That is how the human brain is wired. So once you understand that your brain is wired not to work against you, but it's actually a safety mechanism, and it's how we've evolved over the years, then you know that you have to bring your awareness more often, because you understand that the part of your brain that is responsible for self-awareness is not autopilot like the other part. So basically, you do curate the life and experience you have through this lifetime, but you have to understand the small details. All right, I realize I'm digressing. Back to business. One of the things you need to recognize that who you think you are will always determine what you think you can achieve. Even your capabilities comes down to who you think you are. That is why you're seeing a lot of research and studies right now trying to understand self-concept. But your self-concept is not static. Your self-concept is something you can enhance as you go along. So for you to merge into that new reality you want, for the goals you have for the new year, if you want to make those 6 figures, can you try normalize that in your brain? Can let your brain be able to comprehend that money. You can't say you want to make 50 million and your brain can't even fathom how you spend that money. So one of the exercises that I do with my students, my coaching students, is that I'll take them through different short experiments on how to normalize whatever they want to come to a reality. So for example, if it's a particular amount of money, can you budget that money and spend it to the last dollar? Spend it to the last dollar. How if you have that money, where would it go to? Once you start normalizing that, you are rewiring your neural pathways, because it's becoming something normal in your way of thinking. So normalize that which you want. If you want to move into luxury in the new year, start normalizing that. If you want to travel more, start looking up areas that allow you to move from your familiar environment. Basically, your mind has to arrive before you arrive. Another one that is really underestimated, yet I don't know any successful people who not practice this. You're going to challenge your mind, creative voice. A lot of us look at the world through the lens at which you're conditioned with. For you to start making real impact, real influence around the world, and for you to even make the kind of money you want around the world, you gotta be creative. It means you're going to start thinking outside the box, which means you can't follow the crowd. There is something unique you can bring to the market. There's some new ideas only you can fathom based on your life experience. How can you bring creativity not just in your life but in your areas of business, in your work? I am an employer, and I can tell you for sure, you get to know someone who's gonna be productive for you almost from the bat off, because it doesn't matter if they're new in the organization. How they get to solve problems will often tell you the future of that person. You've got to be the kind of person that brings creativity, artistry in your areas of work or even in your personal life. How creative are you in that business? Why are you following the book? Why are you doing things by the book? Can you start thinking, how can I create? How can I be different? How do I approach this differently in the market? So for example, you're a digital marketing agency. I promise you, the only reason we do what we do and we succeed at it and we do achieve visibility and revenue for our clients is because the approach we take is not the normal approach in the market. Guys have forgotten what it takes to build value. So you have to be creative around it. Don't follow a script. How can you bring creativity in what you do? You have to ask yourself that. And lastly, you got to know one thing. This is the reality of the life we live in. It is not about the resources. It is about how resourceful you are. Think deeply about that. Because the difference between the 1%, the difference between people who are literally living, and when I say 1%, I don't even mean the 1% in terms of network financially. I mean the 1% who are living this life, who've created heaven on earth, literally living abundantly, always knowing they're provided for, never lacking when they need something. They live with the flow of the universe. They're not going against the current. Things just seem to be working for them. The 1% understand that everything is energy, including you and me. And so they put their energy on a pedestal. They don't allow anything outside themselves, including circumstances, to dictate who they are.